John Blunt from Is Good Woodworks with our certification video for the chop saw. MiterSaw or motorized MiterSaw. It's great for cutting pretty clean cuts and pretty accurate cuts on long, narrow pieces. I'm going to show you the preferred sequence to get good quality all the way across the board with your material that you're turning out. Never trust a fresh end. It could be at any angle in there, particularly if you've made your own post-processed flat straight wood. So you always cut both ends. You'll run the piece down that direction 8 feet, 10 feet, no problem, so you can cut a little off one end. That would be this hand position. So you operate the motor by pulling and continuously holding the trigger while you're doing the cut. Now I've slid it down here, and I'm going to set the fence at 16 inches because the non-existing cut list says I need a 16-inch piece. Cleaned one end, going to cut the other end. Now is when I got to point out that this hand has to be on this side holding this part of it, not this part, because it's trapped. If it starts to move, any change in angle is going to put pressure on the blade, and the blade's going to throw this piece of wood. You don't do this. This side's fine. It can just sort of vibrate away. It's not going to get trapped, and it's not going to bind on anything. So I'll do this cut. Good. Got our nice 16-inch piece. Now, what if you want to make something that's less than 10 inches? That's as far as the scale goes. So we have this 10-inch spacer to solve that problem. You put your scale 10 inches longer than you want it to be. So I made 16, and amazing coincidence, I need 6 inches. So I leave it at 16 and put this in there. And I'm cutting 6-inch pieces. If they're 6 inches long, I can hold them right here. The same rule applies. You have to have your hand on the side that's trapped. So I'm holding it here, cutting the 6 inches, and again, I can repeat 6 inches as long as I've got material feeding in to work with. And they'll all be very precisely identical. What if, however, we want a 2-inch piece? I'll set this at 12 and use the same spacer and turn this piece into 2-inch pieces. That is too close to the blade to safely hold right there. It's just too close. But there's a trick. You hold it, and you have to hold it, of course, if it's trapped. But it doesn't have to stay trapped. I push it here, carefully ease that out so you don't disturb the piece you're going to cut. And then cut here, it's not trapped. It's free to float away. It's not going to get bound and twisted and make high pressure on the blade and throw it. So there's one. The second one is a repeat of the same routine, all the way to the end. Now it's getting unsafe to hold this. So I'm out of material, basically. So come on over here. So you see the mark right there? That's the indicator that they gave us, and we're going with that one. Anything that's inside this line, any distance, touch it when the wood is above this, could be above that in this manner. Right here, don't put your hand in that area. This is called a miter saw because it makes what's called miters. Not just the square cuts we showed you before. The blade can be tipped relative to this fence and should always be locked down. That's rotate the handle clockwise to lock it. A miter is simply an angle cut, usually implying that it's to make a joint. And I'm just going to game this a little bit and flip it to get my quick miters out of it. I made 2 cuts to make this miter, and that would be a picture frame miter at 90 degrees. You go 30 degrees, that's 45 degree setting, you make a 90 degree cut. You go 30 degrees, you can make a hexagon. 22.5 degrees, you make an octagon, etc. That's a MiterSaw aspect of a MiterSaw. And so it's also called a chop saw. And here's me using it as a chop saw. You shouldn't use it as a chop saw, because what you get is lots and lots of torn up surfaces. That's actually pretty mild. The blade's brand new. A little bit of dull and you have tear out in there. It's actually a fine quality tool for doing fine woodworking. If you're doing house framing, sure, chop, it's all right with me. That's 2x4s. Nonetheless, the miter can go at an angle this way too. It doesn't make a difference. It's still a miter. And then, if you're thoughtful of other people, you can put it back to the default of 90 degrees. And then you're done. And I'm done. Thank you very much.